Imagine thinking your wife is just visiting her parents, only to find out she's visiting a rundown motel with her high school boyfriend. Now imagine finding a way to ruin both of their lives in one perfect move. That's exactly what I did, and I made sure everyone got what they deserved. If you've ever been betrayed, lied to, or underestimated, you're going to love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up, because what started as quiet suspicion turned into the most satisfying revenge I've ever pulled off. It was the early 2000s. My wife and I had 2 young kids, 4 and 6 years old. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder. It blindsides you. At first, it was small things. The kids started talking about staying with my wife's parents a lot. Not unusual, except they lived 90 minutes away, and she was making this trip 2 or 3 times a week. Every day she wasn't at her part-time job. She was supposedly there. I asked her about it casually one night. She said it was just to give the kids time with their grandparents. But her voice caught. Her eyes darted away. She was a good liar. I'd known her long enough to read her like a book. That's when my stomach dropped. Something was going on. I started tracking the mileage on her car. Old school. Just wrote down the odometer reading before she left. Checked it when she came back. A week later, the numbers told me everything. She was driving an extra 400 miles a week. That wasn't visiting family. Then, one afternoon, fate handed me the golden ticket. I sat down at our computer and saw it, a sticky note with her AOL password, right there on the desk. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear in my ears. I knew it was wrong, but betrayal doesn't play by the rules. I logged in, and there it was, email exchanges with her college best friend. The friend knew everything. They were talking about how my wife was regularly sleeping with one of her high school ex-boyfriends. Not only that, they were mocking his wife, saying she'd let herself go after having kids. My hand was shaking as I hit print. Those emails became my evidence. Evidence was one thing. Details were another. I needed to know exactly what was happening. So I called a friend who was a cop. He gave me the number of Ron, a former officer-turned-private investigator. Ron was a pro. I handed him the emails, told him about the mileage, and paid his retainer. In less than 2 weeks, I had a full report. Photos, timestamps, locations. My wife's routine was the same every time. Drop the kids at her parents', meet this guy for lunch, then head to a cheap, dumpy motel. 2 or 3 hours later, she'd pick up the kids and drive home like nothing happened. Here's the thing. My parents cheated on each other. The screaming, the lies, the custody battles, it destroyed my childhood. I promised myself I'd never put my kids through that. So when Ron handed me the folder, I didn't hesitate. I hired a divorce lawyer. But I wasn't done yet. Ron's report gave me the man's first name, Bob. I asked Ron to dig deeper. And oh, did he deliver? Bob was married, 3 kids. He worked as VP of sales at his father-in-law's business. And here's the kicker. His wife's parents owned their house. My lawyer drew up the divorce papers. Then I asked Ron for 2 extra copies of his report, one for me and one for Bob's wife. I timed it perfectly. On the same day my wife was served at her workplace, Ron showed up at Bob's wife's door. She invited him in. He showed her everything. I didn't tell her what to do with the information. I didn't have to. My wife's cheating didn't affect the divorce settlement much, but Bob's life imploded. His wife emptied their joint account, took the kids, moved back in with her parents. When her dad found out what Bob had done, he fired him and evicted him from the house. Their divorce turned into a public circus. Court battles, restraining orders, police reports. One argument at the house got so bad her brother broke Bob's nose. There were criminal charges, jail time, and last I heard, he skipped the state. Meanwhile, Bob's ex-wife thrived. She started working at her dad's company and eventually took over when he retired. As for me, I kept things civil with my ex-wife. Only talked about the kids. Once they grew up, I stopped talking to her altogether. No hatred, no lingering bitterness. She's their mom, and that's all that matters to me now. Bob? I can't find him anywhere online. No LinkedIn, No Facebook. It's like he vanished. And that's the thing about revenge done, right? You don't have to scream. You don't have to gloat. You just let the truth do the heavy lifting. One day you're sneaking off to motels. The next, you've lost your marriage, your kids, your job, your home, and your reputation. I didn't just get justice for myself. I handed Bob's wife the truth, and she burned his whole world to the ground. Betrayal is like rust. It starts small, but if you let it go, it'll eat away at everything. Sometimes, the only way to protect yourself and the people you love is to cut the rotten part clean off and walk away. If this story made you believe in karma, smash that like button. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? Make sure you subscribe, because I've got more stories where the bad guys get exactly what they deserve. If you want, I can now add cinematic pacing cues and emotional emphasis markers, so it reads perfectly for a narrator. Think pause, slow down, lean in style cues that maximize tension. That would make it feel even more like a viral YouTube revenge story.